Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. We love to take a look back at some incredible moments in history.
And sometimes those moments are, unexpected, maybe even miraculous.
Exactly. And today's deep dive is going to be into one of those events. I think we all remember where we were when we first heard about it.
Yeah, I bet everyone listening right now can picture exactly what they were doing.
It's the Miracle on the Hudson, January 15th, 2009.
Yes, a day that began like any other in New York City.
Just a normal winter day.
Yeah.
People going about their business.
Flights taking off and landing from LaGuardia Airport just as usual.
One of those flights was US Airways Flight 1549, an Airbus A320.
Yep, headed for Charlotte, North Carolina.
With 150 passengers and 5 crew members on board.
Seems pretty routine, right?
You got experienced pilot Captain Chesley Sullenberger at the controls.
Clear weather, good visibility.
Everything pointing towards a normal flight.
But as we know, this flight was anything but routine.
So let's rewind back to that day and break down exactly what happened.
All right, so Flight 1549 takes off from LaGuardia.
Starts its initial climb.
Everything's going smoothly.
But then just about 2 minutes into the flight, as they're climbing to around 2,800 feet, they hit something.
Not just something, a flock of birds.
And not just a few birds either, right?
Oh no, this is a large flock of Canada geese.
And the impact was significant.
It caused both of the plane's engines to fail.
Can you imagine?
Just total silence in the cockpit. I mean, besides the wind.
No engine noise, just the sound of the wind rushing past.
You're thousands of feet in the air and suddenly you have no power.
It's like a nightmare scenario.
Absolutely, a pilot's worst fear.
So what happens next? What do you do when both engines fail like that?
Well, in this case, Captain Sullenberger and his first officer, Jeffrey Skiles, had just seconds to make a life or death decision.
I mean, they were basically gliding at this point, right?
That's right. They had become the world's largest glider with no engine power.
And they're over one of the most densely populated cities in the world.
Exactly. So they had to think fast, and they did.
They immediately started going through their emergency procedures.
Trying to restart the engines, but no luck.
So what were their options?
They considered trying to return to LaGuardia.
But could they make it back?
They were losing altitude fast, and it was just too risky.
What about another airport? Was there one close enough?
Well, they briefly considered diverting to Teterboro Airport in New Jersey.
Which is a smaller airport.
Right. But again, with their altitude and the rate of descent, it just wasn't feasible.
So both options were off the table.
Basically.
Leaving them with what?
I mean, what do you do when you're flying a plane with no engines over New York City?
Doesn't sound like there are a lot of great choices.
No, not really. And that's when Captain Sullenberger made an incredible decision.
The decision that would ultimately save the lives of everyone on board.
He decided to ditch the plane in the Hudson River.
The Hudson River.
Yeah. I know it sounds crazy, but think about it.
I mean, it's still incredibly risky, right?
Of course, ditching a plane on water is extremely dangerous.
But it was their best option.
It was the only option, really, that gave them any chance of survival.
So Sullenberger announces to the passengers and crew, brace for impact.
You could only imagine the fear and the panic on board.
People back on land start noticing the plane is flying really low.
People are watching from the streets, from office buildings.
They can't believe their eyes, this Airbus A320 gliding right over the city.
And then at 3:31 p.m., just 6 minutes after takeoff,
Flight 1549 makes contact with the water.
it was a hard impact, no doubt about it.
But somehow, Sullenberger managed to land the plane relatively smoothly.
He kept the wings level, the nose slightly up, which prevented the plane from breaking apart.
And everyone on board survived the impact.
It's incredible, isn't it?
It really is, but they're not out of danger yet, right?
No, they're in the middle of a freezing cold river in January.
The plane is starting to sink.
And people are scrambling to get out.
But the crew did an amazing job.
That kept everyone calm.
Directed passengers to the emergency exits.
And onto the inflatable slides.
Within minutes, rescue boats were on the scene.
Ferries, tour boats, private boats.
Everyone was pulling together to help.
And amazingly, all 155 passengers and crew members were rescued from the frigid waters.
With no fatalities.
It's nothing short of a miracle.
So what did the investigation into the incident reveal?
Well, as you might expect, the bird strike was the main cause of the engine failure.
Makes sense.
But the investigation also highlighted something really important.
What's that?
The incredible skill and quick thinking of Captain Sullenberger.
I mean, he was a very experienced pilot, right?
Oh, yeah. Over 40 years of flying experience.
And he had also flown gliders before.
Which is actually quite rare for commercial pilots.
But that experience probably came in handy.
Definitely, it gave him the skills he needed to land that plane safely on the water.
And of course, his decision to ditch in the Hudson was crucial.
Exactly. Any other choice would have likely been disastrous.
You know, it's funny, we call it the Miracle on the Hudson.
Which is a fitting name, no doubt.
But it wasn't just luck.
Right. It was a combination of factors.
Skill, experience, quick thinking, and a bit of luck all came together.
And of course, the incredible work of the crew and the rescue teams.
Right. Everyone played a part in this miracle.
Exactly. It was a team effort.
So what can we learn from this event?
Well, I think it reminds us of the importance of preparation.
In being ready for the unexpected.
Having the skills and the knowledge to handle a crisis.
It also shows the power of human resilience.
How even in the face of danger and fear, we can come together and overcome incredible obstacles.
And maybe it reminds us that sometimes miracles do happen.
And that sometimes the impossible is actually possible.
Well, that's all the time we have for our deep dive into the Miracle on the Hudson.
It's an event that will continue to amaze and inspire us.
And one that reminds us of the incredible potential of human skill and courage.
I think what's interesting to think about is, all those passengers on the plane.
What do you mean?
Well, they all went through this incredibly traumatic experience together.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
But I wonder if it changed them in some way.
Maybe gave them a new perspective on life.
Or a deeper appreciation for the everyday moments we often take for granted.
That's definitely something to ponder.
It is food for thought.
Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Until next time.
Keep exploring.